The door to Victor Preston's office locked with a soft click that made Adeyez's blood run cold. "Mr. Preston, I should really get back to my desk." She clutched the quarterly reports against her chest like a shield, her back pressed against the wall. "The Chen Holdings presentation is due tomorrow. The presentation can wait." Victor moved between her and the door, his 6-foot frame blocking the only exit. The office was on the 14th floor, corner suite, soundproofed glass that overlooked downtown Los Angeles. No one could hear her scream. He'd made sure of that. "We need to discuss your performance review. My performance has been excellent," Sandra said. "Sandra doesn't make the final decisions. I do." He loosened his tie, and Adeyez's stomach lurched. She'd seen that gesture before, last week in the supply room, yesterday by the elevators. Every time he got too close, invaded her space, made her skin crawl with the weight of his attention. "And I think you could be doing more to secure your position here, much more. I've exceeded every metric you've set." Her voice shook, despite her efforts to sound professional, composed. "I've brought in 3 new clients this quarter alone." "I'm not talking about clients, Adeyez." The way he said her name, slow, deliberate, like he was tasting it, made her want to shower for a week. He stepped closer, too close, close enough that she could smell the scotch on his breath, the expensive cologne that couldn't quite mask the stench of entitled rage underneath. "I'm talking about dedication, loyalty, showing me that you're willing to do whatever it takes to succeed in this company. I don't understand what you're asking." But she did. God help her, she understood exactly what he was asking. "I think you do." His hand landed on the wall beside her head, caging her in. "You're a smart girl. You came here from Nigeria on a work visa, didn't you? Sending money back home to your family, supporting your siblings' education." Terror spiked through her chest. How did he know that? "That visa is tied to your employment." His smile was all teeth. "Lose this job, you lose your visa. Lose your visa, you go back to Nigeria. Back to poverty. Back to nothing." He leaned in, his mouth near her ear. "But if you're nice to me, Adeyez, if you show me how grateful you are for this opportunity, I can make sure you keep this job. I can make sure you have a very successful career here." "Please," the word came out broken. "Please, Mr. Preston, I just want to work. I'll work harder, I'll stay late, You'll do exactly what I tell you to do." His hand moved from the wall to her waist, fingers digging in hard enough to bruise. "Starting now!" She tried to push past him. Fatal mistake. Victor grabbed her wrist, yanked her back, slammed her against the wall hard enough to knock the air from her lungs. The reports scattered across the floor, his body pressed against hers, one hand pinning both her wrists above her head, the other fumbling with his belt. "No!" she thrashed, tried to knee him, but he blocked it. "Stop! Please, stop! No one can hear you." His voice was calm, almost conversational, which made it so much worse. Soundproof office, remember, and even if they could, who would they believe? The director with 15 years at this company, or the immigrant who's desperate to keep her visa? Tears streamed down her face. She twisted, fought, but he was stronger, heavier, and he'd clearly done this before, known exactly how to corner her, how to trap her, how to... His hand moved to her skirt. She screamed anyway, screamed even though no one could hear, screamed because she refused to go silently, screamed because the office door exploded inward. Not opened, exploded. A man in black moved like violence incarnated, crossing the distance between the door and Victor in less than a second. He grabbed Victor by the throat, lifted him off the ground, and threw him across the room like he weighed nothing. Victor hit his desk, papers and computer monitor crashing to the floor. He scrambled backward, blood streaming from his nose. "Who the fuck?" The man hit him. Once, a precise blow to the jaw that made a sound like a bat connecting with a melon. Victor crumpled. The man stood over him, breathing controlled, fists still clenched, Korean features, sharp jaw, dark eyes that promised death. When he spoke, his voice was Arctic calm. You touch her again, you die. Not a threat, a promise. Then he turned to Adeyeze, who'd collapsed against the wall, her whole body shaking so hard her teeth chattered. Are you hurt? His voice gentled completely, a different person than the one who'd just destroyed Victor. Did he? No! She couldn't stop shaking. You stopped him. You... She looked at the stranger who'd just saved her life. This man who'd appeared from nowhere like an avenging angel. Who are you? Someone who's been watching. He moved closer slowly, hands visible, clearly trying not to scare her, making sure this didn't happen. I'm sorry I was almost too late. You've been watching me. For 3 months, since I saw him target you. He pulled out his phone, fingers moving quickly. I'm calling the police. You'll need to give a statement. I have security footage, recordings of his previous harassment. He's done. He'll lie. He'll say Her breath hitched. No one will believe me. They'll believe the evidence. His eyes, which had been death itself when looking at Victor, were almost gentle when they looked at her. I've been documenting everything. Every time he cornered you, every inappropriate comment, every touch. He's not walking away from this. Adeyeze slid down the wall, her legs giving out. The adrenaline was crashing, leaving her hollow and shaking and utterly lost. The man crouched in front of her, careful to keep distance between them. My name is Daniel Kang. I work in private security. I'm going to get you out of here. Safely. Make sure he's arrested and ensure he never comes near you again. But I need you to trust me. Can you do that? She looked at this stranger who'd broken down a door to save her, who'd known she needed saving because he'd been watching, protecting her from the shadows. She should be terrified of him too. Instead, she whispered, Yes. Good. He stood, pulled off his jacket, and draped it over her shoulders. It smelled like leather and something clean, masculine, safe. Let's get you out of here. Behind them, Victor groaned, trying to sit up. Daniel's expression went cold again. He walked over, crouched down, and said something too quiet for Adeyeze to hear. Whatever it was made Victor's face go white with terror. Daniel returned to her side, helped her stand with hands that were remarkably gentle considering what they'd just done to Victor's face. Can you walk? She nodded, even though her legs felt like water. Stay close to me. He guided her toward the shattered door, his body positioned between her and Victor, protective and solid. Security will be here in 30 seconds, police in 5 minutes. Your nightmare is over. As they stepped into the hallway, past the shocked faces of colleagues who'd heard the door explode, who were staring at the scene like it was something from a movie, Adeyeze realized something that should have terrified her, but didn't. This stranger, this Daniel Kang, had been stalking her for 3 months, and he'd just saved her life. Hello, friends. If you're already hooked by this dangerous rescue, you need to subscribe right now because this story gets wild. What happens when your stalker becomes your savior? When the most dangerous man in your life is the only one keeping you safe? Hit that notification bell and drop a comment. Would you trust someone who's been watching you from the shadows? Let's go. The police station smelled like burnt coffee and institutional despair. Adeyeze sat in an interview room wrapped in Daniel's jacket, giving her statement to Detective Sarah Chen for the 3rd time. Her voice had gone hoarse from crying, from explaining, from reliving those terrible minutes in Preston's office. And you're certain you want to press charges? Detective Chen's voice was kind but firm. Mr. Preston's lawyers are already here. They'll make this difficult. I'm certain. Adeyeze's hands clenched in her lap. He would have raped me if Mr. Kang hadn't stopped him. About Mr. Kang. Detective Chen glanced at her notes. He broke down a locked office door, assaulted Mr. Preston, and claims he's been monitoring you for 3 months without your knowledge or consent. That's concerning. He saved my life. He may have also been stalking you. He was protecting me. Adeye's voice strengthened. Everything he said is true. Preston has been harassing me for months. I didn't report it because... Her throat tightened. Because I reported a professor at UCLA 2 years ago, the school buried it, protected him. I learned that the system doesn't protect women like me. So when Preston started, I thought I just had to endure it. Detective Chen's expression softened. You shouldn't have had to endure anything, and for the record, Mr. Kang provided us with extensive documentation, security footage, recordings, even a harassment timeline. Preston's done. His lawyers know it. They're trying to negotiate a plea deal as we speak. Relief flooded through Adeyes so intensely she felt dizzy. He's really not getting away with it? He's facing criminal charges for attempted sexual assault, plus civil liability for workplace harassment. He'll lose his job, probably serve time, definitely end up on the sex offender registry. Detective Chen closed her notepad. You're safe now, but Ms. Okafor, I need to ask, what are your intentions regarding Mr. Kang? I don't understand. He violated several laws tonight, breaking and entering, assault. The stalking allegations alone could land him in serious trouble. The detective leaned forward. But if you testify that his monitoring was protective rather than predatory, that his intervention was necessary, and that you don't feel threatened by him, the DA might be persuaded not to press charges. So I'm asking, do you want us to investigate Daniel Kang? Adeyeze thought about the man waiting in the lobby. The stranger who'd been watching her for 3 months, who'd known she was in danger before she'd fully admitted it to herself, who'd broken down a door and probably broken Preston's jaw and done it all to save her. No, she said firmly, I don't want him investigated. He's the only person who helped me. Detective Chen studied her for a long moment, then nodded. Okay, you're free to go. We'll contact you about the trial date. Daniel stood when she entered the lobby, his expression carefully neutral. Up close, in the harsh fluorescent lighting, she could see him properly for the first time. Korean-American, maybe early 30s, sharp features and controlled stillness that suggested military or combat training, expensive clothes now rumpled and bloodstained, knuckles bruised. How are you? He asked quietly. Alive. Because of you. She hugged his jacket tighter around herself. Thank you. I don't know how to thank you enough. You don't need to thank me. Something flickered in his expression. Guilt, maybe, or shame. I should have intervened sooner, before he cornered you alone. You couldn't have known he'd... I should have known. I've been watching him watch you for 3 months. I saw the pattern. I should have stopped it before it got that far. His jaw tightened. I'm sorry. They stood in the fluorescent silence of the police station lobby, 2 strangers bound by violence and rescue, and something neither of them could name yet. Finally, Adeyeze asked, Why me? Why were you watching me specifically? Daniel was quiet for a long moment. Then, because I saw him target you, and I've seen what happens when men like him aren't stopped. I couldn't let it happen again. Again? My sister. His voice went flat. Her boyfriend, 5 years ago. By the time I found out, by the time I dealt with him, the damage was done. He met her eyes. I saw Preston circling you, and I thought, not again. Not if I can prevent it. So you've been my guardian angel for 3 months. Guardian something. The corner of his mouth twitched, almost a smile. Not sure about the angel part. Despite everything, the trauma, the fear, the absolute insanity of this entire night, Adeyeze laughed. It came out broken and a little hysterical, but it was real. Can I take you home? Daniel asked. Make sure you get there safely. She should say no. Should call Chisholm or a rideshare, or literally anyone except the man who'd admitted to stalking her for 3 months. Instead, she heard herself say, yes. They drove in silence through the neon-lit streets of Los Angeles, the city pulsing with life while Adeyeze felt hollowed out and strange. Daniel drove with the same controlled precision he seemed to apply to everything, his eyes constantly checking mirrors like he expected threats to emerge from the darkness. You can relax, Adaeze said softly. He's in custody. Preston is, but the world is full of Prestons. Daniel glanced at her. I'm not taking chances with your safety. Is that what you do? Private security? Professional paranoia? Something like that. He turned onto her street. He knew where she lived. Of course he did. And parked outside her building. I solve problems that legal channels can't or won't address. That's vague. It's meant to be. Adaeze studied his profile in the orange glow of the streetlights. This man was dangerous. She could see it in the controlled way he moved, the calculated violence that had demolished Preston, the cold certainty with which he'd promised death. He'd been watching her for 3 months without her knowledge. He'd broken into a locked office and assaulted her boss. He admitted to doing similar things before, dealing with his sister's abusive boyfriend. Every rational part of her brain screamed that Daniel Kang was a threat she should run from. But when she looked at him, all she felt was safe. I don't know how to process this, she admitted. Any of this. You. Tonight, the fact that I'm not even scared of you when I probably should be. You should be scared of me. Daniel's voice was rough. I'm not a good man, Adaeze. I do things that good men don't do. I've hurt people. Some of them probably didn't deserve the extent of what I did to them. He finally looked at her. But I've never hurt someone who didn't hurt someone else first, and I've never hurt someone weaker than me. That's the line I won't cross. Why tell me this? Because you deserve to know what you're dealing with, what I am. His hands tightened on the steering wheel. And because if you're smart, you'll thank me, go inside, and never contact me again. What if I'm not smart? Something intense flashed in his eyes. Then we're both in trouble. The moment stretched between them, charged and dangerous, and full of possibilities that Adaeze knew she should shut down immediately. Instead, she asked, Do you have a card? A number? Some way to reach you if... She stopped. If what? If she needed him? If she wanted to see him again? Both were true, and both were insane. Daniel pulled out his phone, tapped the screen. What's your number? She told him. A moment later, her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. This is Daniel. Call me if you need anything, day or night. Thank you, she said again, inadequate but sincere, for everything. Don't thank me, I just did what should have been done months ago. She got out of the car, started toward her building, then turned back. He was watching her, making sure she got inside safely, exactly as he'd probably been doing for 3 months. Daniel? Yes? I'm glad you were watching. She meant it. I'm glad someone saw what was happening. Even if it's unconventional. He didn't respond, but something in his expression softened just slightly. Adaeze went inside, rode the elevator to her apartment, and collapsed on her couch, still wrapped in his jacket. Her phone buzzed. Chisholm calling. Ada! Oh my God, are you okay? The news is reporting that some director at Chen Holdings was arrested for attempted sexual assault, and someone broke his jaw and... Chisholm's words tumbled over each other in panic. Tell me that wasn't you. Please tell me. It was me. Adaeze's voice was steady, even though her hands were shaking. My boss tried to rape me tonight. Someone stopped him. I'm okay, Chiso. I'm safe. Her sister's breathing turned ragged over the phone. Who stopped him? How did... It's complicated. Is he there? Whoever helped you? No. He brought me home, made sure I was safe. And who is he? Chisholm's voice sharpened with older sister protectiveness despite being 5 years younger. Ada, what's going on? Adaeze looked at the contact in her phone. Daniel Kang. No profile picture. Just a name and a promise. Call me if you need anything. I don't know yet, she said honestly, but I think he might be the most dangerous person I've ever met. That's not reassuring. I know. Adaeze pulled his jacket tighter around herself, breathed in the scent of leather and safety. But I also think he might be the only person who's actually kept me safe in this whole city. Ada, I need to sleep, Chiso. Can we talk tomorrow? After her sister reluctantly agreed and hung up, Adaeze sat in the silence of her apartment and thought about the man who'd been watching her from the shadows. She should be terrified. She should report him. She should block his number and never think about him again. Instead, she saved his contact with a name that felt absurdly appropriate: my shadow. 3 days passed. Preston made bail, but was immediately fired from Chen Holdings. His lawyers were scrambling to negotiate a plea deal. The office gossip was vicious and relentless. Everyone had opinions about what happened, about Adaez's role in it, about whether she'd led him on. She ignored them all, but she couldn't ignore the absence of Daniel Kang. He'd texted once, "How are you holding up?" She'd responded, "Better. Thank you for checking." And then, nothing. Part of her was relieved. The situation was complicated enough without adding a relationship with her stalker-turned-savior into the mix. But part of her, a larger part than she wanted to admit, missed the feeling of being watched, of knowing someone was keeping her safe. On the 4th day, she texted him, "Can we talk?" In person, his response came immediately: when and where. They met at a coffee shop in neutral territory, mid-morning, public and safe. Daniel arrived exactly on time, dressed in dark jeans and a fitted sweater that made him look less like a vigilante and more like someone who could have been an accountant. Almost normal. "Thank you for meeting me," Adaeze said as he sat down across from her. "Of course." He studied her face with that unnerving intensity. "How are you really doing?" "Honestly, I don't know." She wrapped her hands around her coffee cup. "I keep replaying that night. What would have happened if you hadn't been there, if you hadn't been watching? You don't need to think about that." "But I do, because it makes me realize how close I came to—" Her throat tightened. "And it makes me wonder why you were watching. Really watching. For 3 months, Daniel. That's a long time." He was quiet for a moment, his fingers drumming against the table in that unconscious pattern she'd noticed before. Finally, "I told you, I saw Preston target you. But there are lots of women in that office. Why me specifically?" "Because you reminded me of her, my sister." His voice was quiet. Same age, same situation, young, ambitious, trapped by someone with power. Same way of trying to smile through it, pretend everything was fine when it clearly wasn't. He met her eyes. "I couldn't save her before the damage was done. I thought maybe I could save you. So I was what? A do-over? A way to atone? At first, maybe." His honesty was brutal. "But then I got to know you, not personally, just by watching, and you were funny and kind and so much stronger than you gave yourself credit for. You'd work late helping colleagues with their projects. You'd video call your family and lie about how happy you were because you didn't want them to worry. You'd bring coffee for the cleaning staff and actually learn their names." His jaw tightened. "And Preston was circling you like a predator, and I thought, she deserves better than this. She deserves to be safe." Adaez's chest ached. "That's the most romantic and deeply creepy thing anyone's ever said to me." Daniel's laugh was surprised and genuine. "Yeah, that sounds about right." "I don't know what to do with you," she admitted. "I should be terrified. You're admitting to stalking me for 3 months. You're dangerous. I saw what you did to Preston. You're involved in things that are clearly not legal. Every rational bone in my body says I should stay away from you. You should listen to those bones." "But I don't want to." She leaned forward. "I want to know you, really know you, not just as my shadow, but as a person. And I think you want that too. Or you wouldn't have given me your number, or agreed to meet me here, or be looking at me right now like what? Like you're trying to figure out if I'm real." Her voice softened. "I am real, Daniel, and I'm choosing to not be afraid of you. I'm choosing to say thank you and to ask if maybe we could try being, I don't know, friends, something. You're choosing wrong. Maybe, or maybe I'm finally choosing right." She reached across the table, her hand stopping just short of his. "What do you want? Really?" Daniel looked at her hand, so close to his but not quite touching. When he spoke, his voice was rough with something that sounded like longing. I want to keep you safe. I want to know what you sound like when you laugh. Really laugh. Not the polite version you do at work. I want to learn how you take your coffee and what makes you homesick and whether you prefer sunrise or sunset. He finally met her eyes. I want things I have no right to want, from someone who deserves so much better than what I am. Let me decide what I deserve. This time, when she reached across the table, she closed the distance. Her fingers brushed his. He didn't pull away. They fell into something that wasn't quite dating, but wasn't just friendship either. Coffee twice a week, walks along the beach, long conversations about everything and nothing. Daniel told her about growing up in Los Angeles, the pressure from his immigrant parents to be perfect, to honor their sacrifice, how he'd been pre-med at UCLA before everything fell apart with his sister's situation. My parents wanted me to be a doctor, he said one evening as they walked along Santa Monica Pier. Save lives the respectable way. Instead, I became this. Someone who solves problems with violence and operates in moral grey areas. Do you regret it? I regret disappointing them. I don't regret protecting my sister. Adeze told him about Nigeria, about her family's expectations, about the weight of being the eldest child who was supposed to succeed and send money home and make everyone proud. My father thinks America is full of opportunities and dangers in equal measure, she said, watching the sunset paint the ocean gold and orange. He sent me here for education, but expects me to come home eventually, marry someone appropriate, have a respectable life. And what do you want? I wanted to feel safe, she looked at him. You gave me that. At a cost. Everything costs something. The attraction between them was undeniable, simmering beneath every conversation, every accidental touch. But Daniel kept careful distance. Like he was afraid that if he got too close, he'd somehow contaminate her. It was Adeze who finally broke. 3 weeks after that first coffee, she invited him to her apartment. Made dinner. Nothing elaborate, just pasta and salad, and they sat on her small couch afterward, the space between them charged with unspoken possibilities. I need to tell you something, she said, and I need you to not argue with me about it. That's a concerning start. I'm attracted to you, she said it plainly, no room for misinterpretation. I have been since that night you broke down Preston's door. Maybe even before that, when I only knew you as a shadow keeping me safe. And I know you're attracted to me too. I can feel it every time you look at me. Daniel's expression was carefully controlled, but his hands clenched into fists. Adeze, you said not to argue. I'm not done. She shifted closer. I know you think you're bad for me, that I deserve better, that I should choose someone safe and respectable and approved by my family. But Daniel, I've spent my whole life doing what other people think I should do. And where did that get me? Trapped in an office with a predator, terrified and alone. That's not. You're the first person who made me feel powerful, who saw me drowning and threw me a lifeline, who looked at me like I was worth protecting. Her voice shook slightly. So I'm choosing you, and I need to know if you're choosing me back. The silence stretched between them, heavy with everything they were both afraid to say. Then Daniel moved. His hand came up to cup her face, thumb brushing across her cheekbone with devastating gentleness. I've been choosing you since the moment I saw you. I just didn't think I had the right. Take the right. She leaned into his touch. I'm giving it to you. When he kissed her, it was nothing like she'd imagined. She'd expected intensity, maybe even roughness. Instead, he kissed her like she was precious, like he was memorizing the taste of her, like this might be the only chance he'd ever get. She fisted her hands in his shirt and kissed him back harder, trying to convey everything she couldn't put into words. Gratitude and attraction and trust and something that might already be love, even though it was too soon, too fast, too everything. They didn't sleep together that night. Daniel had too much control, and Adeze had too much to process. But they lay on her couch in the dark, his arms around her, his heartbeat steady against her back. "Gwenchana," he whispered in Korean. "It's okay." "What does that mean?" she asked. "It means you're safe. It means I've got you. It means everything is going to be okay." She turned in his arms to face him. "Teach me how to say things in Korean." "Why?" "Because I want to know all of you, including the parts you keep hidden." So he taught her. "Jagia, honey darling. Saranghae, I love you. Mianhae, I'm sorry." And she taught him words in Igbo. Ne, mother, or term of endearment. Kedu, how are you? Dalu, thank you. Language became intimacy, a bridge between their worlds. But bridges could be burned. 4 weeks into whatever they were, Chisholm showed up unannounced at Adaeze's apartment. She'd been hinting that she wanted to meet the mysterious man who'd saved her sister. Adeze had been putting it off, knowing that family involvement would complicate everything. She was right. Chisholm took one look at Daniel. Tall, Korean, clearly dangerous despite the carefully normal exterior, and her expression went complicated. After Daniel left to give them space, Chisom turned to Adeze with wide eyes. "Ada, that man looks like he could kill someone with his bare hands." "He probably could. He did break Preston's jaw. And that doesn't concern you? It concerns me less than Preston trying to rape me." Adeze's voice was sharp. "Daniel saved my life, Chiso. I know he's not conventional. I know he's dangerous. But he's never made me feel unsafe." "What do you even know about him?" "Enough. Do you know his family, his background, what he really does for work?" "He works in private security. That's what serial killers say in movies." Chisholm sat down heavily on the couch. "Ada, I love you. I'm grateful he helped you, but you're falling for a man who stalked you for 3 months. Doesn't that raise any red flags?" "He was protecting me. Or he's grooming you to think that." Chisholm's voice gentled. "I'm worried. This is happening so fast, and if Daddy finds out, Daddy isn't going to find out. He's going to ask. He already is asking. He knows something happened at work, knows you're acting different. He's going to want details." Adeze's stomach sank. Her father, traditional, protective, already suspicious of American influence. If he found out she was seeing a Korean-American man with a violent past and questionable employment. "I'll handle Daddy," she said with more confidence than she felt. "How? By lying? By hiding your boyfriend?" "Daniel isn't my boyfriend. You're falling in love with him." Chisholm's voice was certain. "I can see it on your face, which means this is serious, which means eventually you're going to have to tell the family. And Ada," she hesitated, "they're not going to approve." "I don't need their approval." "Don't you?" Chisholm challenged. "You send money home every month. Your visa is tied to family sponsorship. You call Nne every week. You're not as independent as you think you are." The truth of that stung. After Chisholm left, tense and worried and promising to keep the secret for now, Adeze sat alone in her apartment and realized that her sister was right. This couldn't stay hidden forever. Eventually, she'd have to choose between her family's approval and the man who made her feel alive. The choice came sooner than she'd expected. Her father called 2 days later, his voice tight with suspicion. "Adeze, I've been hearing things. About an incident at your workplace. About a man involved. Tell me the truth." She tried to deflect, to minimize, but her father was relentless, and eventually the story came out. Preston, the assault, Daniel's intervention. "And this Daniel," her father said, his voice dangerously quiet. "Who is he? What is he to you?" "He's a friend. Don't lie to me." The disappointment in his voice cut deeper than anger. "Chisholm said he looks dangerous. Is he dangerous, Adeze?" "He's complicated. That's not an answer. He saved my life, Daddy. When I was about to be raped, he stopped it. He's the only person who helped me. By breaking down a door and assaulting your supervisor, that's not help." That's violence. It was necessary violence. Her father was silent for a long moment. Then, is he Nigerian? No. What is he? Korean American. Another silence. Longer. Heavier. You're seeing him. Romantically. It wasn't a question. Yes. Chineke, her father's voice broke. Adeze, what are you thinking? You don't know this man. You don't know his family, his background. I know enough. You know that he's violent, that he watches you without permission, that he's involved in things that required physical intervention. Her father's voice rose. These are not good signs. These are warning signs. He protected me when no one else did. And I'm grateful for that. I am. But gratitude is not love. Gratitude is not reason to throw away your judgment. I'm not throwing away anything. Then tell me about his family. Tell me they're respectable people who raised a good man. Adeyeze hesitated, and in that hesitation, her father knew. They disowned him, didn't they? It wasn't a question. His own family wants nothing to do with him. It's complicated. It's not complicated. It's clear. Even his own parents know he's trouble. Her father's voice hardened. I'm asking you, daughter to father, to end this, for your own safety. I can't do that. You can, and you will, or I'll have to take steps to protect you. What does that mean? It means your visa is sponsored by the family. It means I have the power to withdraw that sponsorship if I believe you're in danger. His voice cracked. Don't make me do that, Adeyeze. Don't make me choose between your happiness and your safety. After the call ended, Adeyeze sat in stunned silence. Her father would deport her, would actually force her back to Nigeria to keep her away from Daniel. When she told Daniel later that night, his expression went carefully blank. He's right, Daniel said quietly. Don't start. He's right to be worried. I am dangerous. My family did disown me. Everything he's concerned about is legitimate. He stood, pacing her small living room like a caged animal. Maybe this was a mistake. Maybe I shouldn't have. Don't you dare! Adeyeze's voice was fierce. Don't you dare push me away because my father is being traditional and overprotective. He's being a good father. He's being controlling. She crossed the room to stand in front of Daniel. I'm 26 years old. I'm allowed to make my own choices. Even if those choices get you deported, even then. Daniel looked at her like she was something precious and breakable and completely beyond his understanding. You'd give up your visa for me? I'd give up more than that. He pulled her into his arms, holding her so tightly she could barely breathe. Sarenghe, he whispered against her hair. I love you, and that's exactly why you shouldn't sacrifice everything for me. But she was already making the sacrifice, already choosing him over family approval, already burning bridges she might never be able to rebuild. Things escalated quickly. Her father, true to his word, contacted immigration services with concerns about her unstable living situation. Chisholm, caught in the middle and pressured by their father, reluctantly admitted what she knew, that Adeyeze was involved with someone their parents would never approve of. The restraining order came as a surprise. Daniel showed up at her door with legal documents, his expression grim. Your father filed this on your behalf. Claims I'm a danger to you. He can't do that. He's your visa sponsor. Apparently, he can. Daniel's voice was flat. The order says I'm not allowed within 500 feet of you. If I violate it, I get arrested. You possibly get deported for associating with someone under a restraining order. This is insane. This is your father protecting you the only way he knows how. Adeze wanted to scream, wanted to call her father and tell him exactly how wrong he was. But even as rage flooded through her, she knew her father loved her. This was misguided, controlling, patriarchal love, but it was love. What do we do? She asked. Daniel was quiet for a long time. Then, we follow the order. I stay away. You go back to your normal life. This ends before it destroys you. No, Adeze, no. She grabbed his shirt, holding him in place. I'm not letting my father decide this. I'm not letting anyone decide this except me. Then you're choosing deportation. I'm choosing you. That night, despite the restraining order, despite the very real legal consequences, she let him stay. They made love for the first time, desperate and intense, and full of the knowledge that this might be one of their last chances. Daniel worshipped her body with a reverence that made her throat tight. His hands traced every curve, his mouth following, like he was memorizing her for a future where she wouldn't be there. When he entered her, she gasped his name, fingers digging into his shoulders as he moved with deliberate control, building pleasure slowly until she was trembling beneath him. Jagia, he whispered against her neck. Honey, darling. Neomu yepuda. You're so beautiful. She came apart, with his name on her lips, and he followed moments later, his face buried in her neck, breath hot against her skin. Afterward, they lay tangled together, the reality of their situation pressing in. We can't keep doing this, Daniel said quietly. Every time I see you, I'm risking your visa. Then let me risk it. She turned to face him. This is my choice. What if there are consequences you haven't thought about? Like what? He was quiet, too quiet. Daniel, what aren't you telling me? He sat up, his expression shuttered. There are people from my past. People who aren't happy I left, and they've noticed you. Ice flooded her veins. What does that mean? It means someone's been watching you, taking photos. They know you're important to me, and they're using that as leverage to get me back. His jaw tightened. I've been trying to handle it quietly. But it's escalating. How escalating? Your car was keyed last week. I had the damage fixed before you saw it. Daniel, and yesterday someone followed you from work. I intercepted them, but someone's stalking me. Her voice rose. And you didn't tell me. I was protecting you by keeping me ignorant. She stood, pulling on his shirt, her hands shaking with anger. You don't get to decide what I can handle. You don't get to hide threats from me. I didn't want to scare you. I'm terrified now. Not just of whoever's following me, but of you making decisions about my safety without including me. She paced, her mind racing. My father was right, wasn't he? Being with you does make me a target. Daniel flinched like she'd hit him. Yes. And this is only going to get worse. Probably. She stopped pacing, looked at him sitting on her bed, and saw the truth written on his face. He expected her to walk away. Expected her to choose safety over love. Expected her to prove that everyone was right. He was too dangerous, too broken, too much. Tell me everything, she said. No more protecting me by hiding things. If I'm going to choose you, I need to know what I'm choosing. So, he told her about the Korean-American network he'd worked for, the money laundering, the protection services that were just barely legal, the enforcement work he'd done when people didn't pay their debts, the boyfriend who'd abused his sister, how Daniel had dealt with him in ways that still haunted him. I hurt people, Daniel said flatly. I was good at it, too good. And when I tried to leave, they made it clear, you don't leave this life. You die in it. He met her eyes. Someone from that life wants me back, or wants me punished for leaving. Either way, they're using you as leverage. So what do? You walk away. You listen to your father. You go back to safety while I handle this. And if I don't want to walk away, then we're both in trouble. Adeyezi thought about it, really thought about it. The safe choice was obvious. Listen to her father, let Daniel handle his past alone, go back to her normal life. But she'd tried safe. Safe had meant enduring Preston's harassment for months. Safe had meant being silent while the system failed her. I'm not walking away, she said, but I'm also not going to be passive. Tell me how to help. Tell me what you need. We face this together or not at all. Daniel looked at her for a long moment. Then something in his expression cracked, and she saw the vulnerability underneath all that control. Gomawo, he said in Korean. Thank you. Da'alu, she responded in Igbo. But gratitude wasn't enough to stop what came next. 2 days later, as Adeyeze left work, A black sedan pulled up alongside her. Two men got out, Korean, well-dressed, dangerous. "Ms. Okafor," one of them smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. "We need to talk about Daniel Kang." Terror spiked through her chest. She reached for her phone, but the man held up his hand. "We're not here to hurt you, just to deliver a message." He pulled out his own phone, showed her photos. Photos of her apartment, her car, her daily route to work. "Tell Kang he has 1 week to reconsider our offer. After that, we stop being polite." "What offer?" "He knows." The man's smile widened. "And now you know that we can get to you any time we want. Sleep well, Ms. Okafor." They drove away, leaving her shaking on the sidewalk. She called Daniel immediately. He arrived within minutes, his face pale with fury. "They approached you. They showed me photos of everywhere I go, everything I do." Her voice shook. "Daniel, what do they want?" "They want me back, working for them, using my particular skills for their benefit." His hands clenched into fists. "I need to end this. Permanently." "How?" "By giving them what they want. Or by making sure they can't hurt you anymore." The way he said it made her blood run cold. "What does that mean?" "It means I meet with them. I negotiate. And I end this however I have to." "That sounds like you're planning to do something dangerous." "Everything about me is dangerous." He cupped her face, his touch gentle despite the violence in his voice. "But I won't let them hurt you. Even if it means, don't." She covered his hands with hers. "Don't finish that sentence. Whatever you're thinking, we figure it out together." Adaze. Together. That's the deal. But even as she said it, she wondered if some deals were impossible to keep. Hey friends, this story is getting intense and you don't want to miss what happens next. Subscribe now if you haven't already because the stakes are about to get even higher. Hit that like button if you're Team Adaze and Daniel and drop a comment. Would you fight for love against your family and dangerous criminals? Let us know below. The next few days were tense with waiting. Daniel increased security, changed her locks, installed cameras, turned her life into a fortress while simultaneously trying to distance himself to protect her. "I can't keep putting you in danger," he said for the 100th time. "Then stop trying to push me away and let me help," she shot back. They were fighting more. Small arguments that were really about the big things they were both afraid to say, that maybe her father was right, that maybe love wasn't enough, that maybe sometimes the dangerous choice was just wrong. Then her father called with news that made everything worse. "I've contacted Daniel's parents." Adaze's blood ran cold. "You did what?" "I found them, Korean-American couple in Irvine. I called them, explained that their son is involved with my daughter, asked them about his character." Her father's voice was grim. "Do you know what they told me?" "Daddy." "They said their son is dead to them, that he's involved with criminals, that he's violent and dangerous, and that they cut all ties with him because they couldn't bear the shame." Her father's voice cracked. "His own mother begged me to keep you away from him." "Begged me, Adaze. A mother who doesn't speak to her own son begged me to protect my daughter from him." "You had no right." "I had every right. You're my daughter." He was shouting now, rare for him. "And now both his family and your family agree. This relationship is dangerous, destructive, wrong." "You don't understand. I understand that even the people who raised him think he's beyond redemption." "What does that tell you?" After he hung up, Adaeze sat in stunned silence. She called Daniel, told him what happened. His response was one word: "Okay." "Okay, that's all you have to say. What else is there?" His voice was hollow. "They're right. My parents are ashamed of me. Your parents think I'm dangerous. Everyone who should know better is telling you to stay away." "So what? You're giving up?" "I'm facing reality. Reality is that I love you." Silence. heavy and painful. "You shouldn't," Daniel finally said. "But I do." "Then you're making a mistake." He hung up. Daisy stared at her phone. Rage and heartbreak warring in her chest, she grabbed her keys, drove to his apartment, and pounded on his door until he answered. "You don't get to decide for me," she said, pushing past him inside. "You don't get to decide that I'm making a mistake. You don't get to decide anything about what I feel." "Your father is going to deport you." Daniel's control finally cracked. "His own family disowned him, your father says. And I can't even argue because it's true. Everything they're afraid of is legitimate. I am dangerous. I do hurt people. My own parents are ashamed of me. I don't care what they think." "You should. Because eventually you'll see what they see. Eventually you'll realize that I'm exactly what they warned you about. And then what? I'll leave. Is that what you're waiting for?" She stepped closer. "I'm not leaving, Daniel. I'm choosing you right now, despite everything, despite my family, despite your family, despite all the logical reasons this is a bad idea. I'm choosing you." "Why?" The word was anguished. "Because you see me, really see me, because you make me feel strong instead of protected, because when I'm with you, I'm not the dutiful daughter or the grateful immigrant or the good employee. I'm just me, and that's enough." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "You're the first person who's ever made me feel like just being me is enough." Daniel crossed the distance between them in 2 strides, cupping her face with both hands. "Saranghae," he whispered. "Naomu, Naomu, Saranghae. I love you. I love you so much. Then stop pushing me away. I'm trying to save you. Save us instead." He kissed her like she was oxygen, and he was drowning. Desperate, intense, full of everything he couldn't say. She kissed him back just as fiercely, her hands fisting in his shirt, pulling him closer. They made love against the wall, frantic and urgent, both of them aware that time was running out, that external forces were closing in, that this might be one of their last moments before everything fell apart. Afterward, they collapsed together on his couch, breathing hard, wrapped in each other. "I have a plan," Daniel said quietly, "to end the threat from my old network. But it's dangerous." "Tell me." "I'm meeting them. Tomorrow night, I'm going to give them an offer they can't refuse or eliminate them as a threat. Either way, after tomorrow, they won't be a problem anymore." "That sounds like you're planning to do something violent." "I'm planning to do whatever's necessary." "Daniel, I need you to promise me something." He pulled back to look at her. "If something goes wrong, if I don't come back, promise me you'll go home to your family. Let your father protect you. Live the safe life you deserve." "Don't talk like that. Promise me." "I can't promise that." "Jagia." "No." She straddled him, forcing him to meet her eyes. "We survive this together. Both of us. That's the only acceptable outcome." He looked at her like he was memorizing her face. "You're the best choice I never should have made, and you're the danger I'll never regret." But regret came for them anyway. The next morning, Adeze woke to 17 missed calls. From Chisholm, from her father, from family friends. She called Chisholm back, her stomach already knotted with dread. "Ada!" Her sister's voice was thick with tears. "Daddy's flying here, this week. He's coming to bring you home." "He can't." "He can, and he is. He's withdrawing visa sponsorship. He's already started the paperwork. Ada, you have days, maybe a week, and then immigration will deport you back to Nigeria." "Chineke," Adeze whispered. "God, I'm sorry. I tried to talk him out of it, and he tried, but he's terrified you're going to get hurt, and this is the only way he knows to protect you." After hanging up, Adeze sat in numb shock. Days. She had days before being forcibly separated from Daniel, from the life she'd built, from everything. When she told Daniel, his reaction was immediate. "Good. Good. You'll be safe. Away from me. Away from this mess. Back with people who love you and want what's best for you." "You love me. That's exactly why you should go." He stood, already pulling away. I'm meeting my old network tonight. After that's done, there's no reason for you to stay. You can go home, be safe, forget about me. I don't want to forget about you, but you will, eventually, and that's good. That's right. He wouldn't look at her. This was always going to end, Adeze. At least this way, you get to keep your visa, your family, your future, all the things I'd eventually cost you anyway. So that's it. You're giving up. I'm letting you go. Those aren't the same thing. They are to me. She wanted to scream, wanted to make him fight for them, but she could see in his eyes that he'd already made his choice. He was sacrificing them to save her, and she hated him for it almost as much as she loved him. That evening, while Daniel prepared for his meeting with his past, Adayeze attended a church cultural celebration with the Nigerian community. Her father had arranged it remotely, ensuring she was surrounded by family friends, by people who would remind her of home, of the life waiting for her back in Enugu. She went because refusing would have caused more problems, smiled because that's what dutiful daughters did, pretended everything was fine while her heart broke. Chisholm found her near the buffet table, picking at food she had no appetite for. Ada, I need to tell you something. I don't want to hear it. He's meeting them tonight. Daniel, his old network. Chisholm pulled out her phone, showing texts from Daniel's sister, So-yeon. She's terrified. She says he's planning something dangerous, that he might not survive. The world tilted. Why are you telling me this? Because you're my sister, and I was wrong. Chisholm grabbed her hand. I thought they were right. I thought you should choose safety. But then I saw you this week. You're not safe, Ada. You're just empty. And I realized that sometimes the dangerous choice is the right choice. Where is he? Warehouse District. Industrial Row. Chisholm squeezed her hand. But if you go, if you choose him, Daddy will. I know exactly what he'll do. She looked across the room at her father's friends, at Mrs. Okonkwo, who'd been hosting her, at the church community that represented everything safe and known. Then she looked at her sister, who was offering her a different choice. Tell them I had an emergency. Ada, tell them I'm sorry. Tell them I love them. But tell them I have to go. She ran. The warehouse district was exactly as grim as she'd imagined. Abandoned buildings, broken streetlights, the kind of shadows that promised violence. Chisholm had given her an address. So-yeon had given Chisholm a time, 10 p.m. She was 20 minutes late, driving too fast, her heart hammering against her ribs. She heard voices before she saw anything. Male, Korean, tense. She crept closer, staying in shadows until she could see. Daniel stood in a pool of light, 4 men surrounding him. One was clearly in charge, older, expensive suit, the kind of calm that came from never doubting your own power. Last chance, Kang. The older man's voice was cold. Come back. Work for us, or your girl pays the price. Touch her, and you die. Daniel's voice was absolute. Not a threat, a promise. Big words for someone outnumbered. I've been outnumbered before. The tension was suffocating. Adayez watched, terrified, as the men circled Daniel like wolves around prey. Then one of them moved, reaching for something in his jacket. Daniel! She screamed before thinking it through, screamed and ran into the light. Like someone with no sense of self-preservation. Everyone froze. Daniel's face went from controlled to panicked. Adayez, get out of here! No! She planted herself beside him, shaking but defiant. I'm not leaving you. You stupid! Daniel grabbed her arm, trying to push her behind him. You need to leave. I'm not leaving. She met the older man's eyes. I'm choosing him right now in front of all of you, and if you want to hurt him, you'll have to hurt me too. The older man, Lee, she assumed, laughed. Touching, really, but foolish. He nodded at one of his men. Take her. The man moved forward. Daniel moved faster. What happened next was brutal and efficient. Daniel fought like violence was a language he spoke fluently, dropping the first man with a blow to the throat, using the second man's momentum to slam him into a concrete pillar. A gunshot, loud in the enclosed space, but it went wide, ricocheting off metal. Then sirens in the distance growing closer. Lee's face went cold. This isn't over, Kang. Yes, it is. Daniel's voice was certain. I've given the police everything, every transaction, every name, every crime. You're done, Lee, and if you ever come near her again, I won't call the police. I'll handle it myself. Lee smiled without humour. You've just signed your own death warrant. Maybe, but she'll be safe. That's all that matters. Lee and his men disappeared into the shadows as the sirens grew louder. Daniel turned to Adeyezi, his expression wild. You shouldn't have come. I wasn't letting you do this alone. I was trying to save you. I don't want to be saved. I want to be with you. She grabbed his shirt, holding him in place. You don't get to sacrifice yourself to give me a safe life I don't even want. You don't get to decide for me. Your family will disown me, probably, and I don't care. Tears streamed down her face. I love you. I love you more than I love their approval, more than I love safety, more than I love anything else. And if that makes me foolish or reckless or wrong, then fine. I'm choosing wrong. I'm choosing you. Daniel pulled her against him, holding her so tightly she could barely breathe. Saranghe, he whispered brokenly. Mianhe, Saranghe, I love you. I'm sorry, I love you. Dalu, she whispered back. Thank you. Dalu for fighting, for surviving, for being here. The police arrived moments later. Statements were given. Daniel's evidence, months of carefully documented crimes, was enough to take down Lee's entire operation. It would mean months of trials, months of testimony, months of looking over their shoulders. But it also meant freedom. The aftermath was complicated. Her father disowned her officially, withdrew visa sponsorship and told her not to contact him until she came to her senses. Her mother cried, called occasionally against her father's wishes, sent care packages, small rebellions of continued love. Chisom stayed firmly on her side, bridging the gap between Adeyezi and their parents when possible. Daniel's sister, So Yeon, became an unexpected ally. Together, the two younger women formed a makeshift family when their real families failed them. 6 months later, things looked different. Not perfect, not easy, but different. Adeze found work at a different company. Better pay, better environment. She and Daniel found an apartment together in Silver Lake, a fresh start. Daniel worked for a legitimate security firm, his past life officially behind him. The trials were ongoing, but Lee's network was destroyed. The threats had ended. Her father still didn't speak to her, but her mother called every few weeks, stiff conversations that gradually warmed. One morning, 6 months after that night in the warehouse, Adeze woke to her phone ringing. Chisom. Video call. She answered, and her sister's face filled the screen, grinning. Guess where I am? Chisom turned the camera, and Adeze's breath caught. Her parents' house in Enugu. Her mother was visible in the background, cooking, and behind her, partially hidden but definitely present, was her father. He wanted me to tell you, Chisom said carefully, that your cousin, Ifunanya, is getting married. Next month. Big celebration, traditional wedding. She paused. You're invited, both of you. Really? Adayezi's voice cracked. Really? He's not happy about it. He's barely speaking to Ne about it, but he said... Chisom smiled. He said you're still his daughter, even if you're foolish. After the call ended, Adeze sat in stunned silence. Daniel emerged from the kitchen with coffee, took one look at her face, and set the cups down. What happened? We're invited to a wedding in Nigeria. My whole family will be there. She looked up at him. Both of us. Together. My father is... He's not accepting us, not really. But he's acknowledging us. It's something. Daniel was quiet for a moment. Then, your father is going to hate me, probably. She grinned through tears. But you'll be there, and so will I. And that's what matters. Over the next few weeks, they prepared. visas, flights, what to wear, what to bring, how to navigate family politics. It wouldn't be easy. Her father would be cold. The extended family would judge, the church community would gossip. But they'd face it together. 1 year later, there was a wedding celebration. The wedding was small, 50 people in a garden venue in Pasadena, not the elaborate Nigerian celebration her mother had once dreamed of, not the traditional Korean ceremony his family would have preferred if they still spoke to him, but theirs. Adeze wore white silk with ankara trim, traditional beadwork with subtle Korean embroidery. Daniel wore a black suit with a dashiki vest, physical representation of their merged worlds. Chisholm and Soyeon were co-maids of honor, sisters by choice if not by blood. Her father walked her down the aisle. He didn't smile, but he was there. That was enough. The vows were in 3 languages. English, I choose you every day, despite everything. Igbo, Ahuru megi nanya, I love you. Korean, Saranghai, Yongwonhi, I love you forever. When Daniel said, touch her again and you die, as part of his vow, their private joke made public, she laughed through tears. Still creepy, Chisholm stage whispered. Still love, Soyeon whispered back. The reception was beautiful chaos. Nigerian music mixed with K-pop. Jollof rice next to kimchi, wine and palm wine and soju flowing freely. Her father danced with her mother, stiff at first, but gradually loosening. He even nodded at Daniel once. Brief, almost imperceptible, but definitely a nod. Your father is going to take decades to fully accept me, Daniel murmured, as they swayed together on the dance floor. I know. Your church aunties are still giving me death glares. I know. This is going to be complicated forever. I know. She pulled back to look at him. Still worth it? Every dangerous second. He kissed her, not caring that half the guests were watching, not caring that her father's expression had gone stony again. Later, alone in their hotel room, Adeze stood on the balcony watching the city lights. Daniel joined her, wrapping his arms around her from behind. What are you thinking? He asked. That a year ago, I was terrified of Preston, of losing my family, of choosing wrong. She leaned back against him. And now I'm here, married to you, happy, despite everything. Despite everything, he agreed. They stood in silence for a moment. Then, my father still barely speaks to you. Your aunties think I'm corrupting you. Your father didn't come to our wedding. Some of our friends think we're crazy. We probably are crazy. Adeze turned in his arms. But I wouldn't change it. Neither would I. They stood on that balcony for a long time, existing in the space between cultures and families, and all the complicated, messy, beautiful things that made them who they were. Together, finally, against all odds, and completely, dangerously, perfectly in love. The end. If this story of dangerous love and impossible choices moved you, subscribe right now for more stories where family expectations can't stop what's meant to be. Drop a comment. Have you ever had to choose between family and your own happiness? Let's talk about it below and share this with someone who needs to hear that sometimes the dangerous choice is the right choice. Hit that notification bell because our next story is even more intense.